This video will enable us to create randomly coloured blocks and make them fall towards the bottom of the screen. If the colours match the player, then the block is destroyed. If not, then the player loses and the game ends. To begin with, we want to create the sprite for our falling block. So, as per usual, we'll create the sprite and name it sprite underscore block. Click Edit Sprite, and in the editor, create a new sprite. We don't want this to be too large and take up too much of the screen, so we'll leave it at 32 by 32 pixels for now. Our blocks can be any shape and size we like, and this will be up to you to add some visual interest, but we will want it to be the same base colour as our player bar. This is because we're going to be using the image blend attribute with the blocks as well, so we want all the colours to appear the same. Otherwise it gets very confusing for the player. I'm going to leave mine as white and just make a square for now. So I'll use the fill tool again and click on the canvas to fill it with colour. I'm right clicking again because, as you can see on the colour panel, the right button is assigned the colour white. Once you've made your sprite, click the ticks to save your changes and click OK to save your sprite. Now on to creating the object for the block. Create it in your usual way and name it object underscore block. We want the colour to be selected the moment the block is made, so we're going to start by adding a create event and, as before, dragging an execute code action from the control tab into the list. We're going to start by creating our first variable. A variable is simply put a holder of information, and we'll assign our variable a value. For instance, if I had a variable of how many objects we had made so far, I would assign it the value of 2. I could write this as objects equals 2. A single equals sign means we are assigning or giving a value to that variable. Our first variable is going to be the colour of the block that has been created. Let's identify this variable as colour underscore random. We're then going to assign it a value, so we'll put a single equal sign, and we want it to choose a random colour. Now we don't want it to pick any colour GameMaker has to offer, so we need to tell it what to choose from. So we'll type choose. You can see it's turned yellow, that means brackets, and in those brackets, if you look to the information bar at the bottom, it will tell you what it's asking for. It says x1, x2, x3, ... This is simply asking what it should choose from. We want it to choose from the 3 colours our player can use, so we need to type C underscore yellow, comma, C underscore red, comma, and C underscore blue. End the line with a semicolon, and there is our first variable created, that when the object block is made will randomly choose one of these 3 colours. However, we now need to assign that colour to our object's image blend. So, on a new line, type image underscore blend. We assign the value using a single equals, and instead of typing a colour, we can now use our variable and can type colour underscore random semicolon. The last step in our create event is to make our blocks fall. We could do this very easily by assigning our object's v speed or vertical speed to a number. I'm going to set it to 6, meaning the block will move 6 pixels every step. You can set it to whatever you like. The higher the number, the faster the blocks fall and the harder your game will be. The lower the number, the slower they fall and the easier your game will be. We can click tick to save changes. The last event our block will need is when it collides with the player object. Add event and select collision. Then choose our object underscore player. We'll again add an execute code action we're going to be using another if statement, but this time we'll be using it to compare two values. If brackets, and inside those brackets we want to look at our blocks image underscore blend. Remember, this is set when the object is created to either yellow, red or blue, and compare this to the object player's image blend as well. As we're comparing two values, we type two equal signs. So, as described before, one equal sign is to assign a value, and two equal signs is to compare values. As we want to check the color of our player, we'll type object underscore player and then dot image underscore blend. This allows GameMaker to check the attribute of the named object. If the colors match, then inside the curly brackets we want to destroy the block. Since it's the object we're writing this code in, we can simply type instance underscore destroy. It turns yellow, so add brackets, but these can be left empty this time, as it would ask for what instance we want to destroy, but leaving them blank by default selects the current object. This is now using the information we discussed regarding objects and instances in video number 3 of our GameMaker in 30 minutes or less series. If you remember, an instance is simply a copy of an object. This allows us to assign a different color to each block and to only destroy one when it collides with our player, despite them all containing the same information. We now have a way to remove the blocks, but how do we now lose the game? Well, to do that we're going to extend our if statement with an else statement. As we discovered before in the previous video, an if statement will check a condition, in this example whether the two colors match, and if they do, or this statement's true, then it will perform an action. Again, in this example, it will destroy the block instance. Well, if we type else after the curly brackets, this will allow us to tell GameMaker to perform a different action if the condition is false, in this case if the colors don't match. We need another set of curly brackets, and in these we simply want to tell the game to end, brackets and semicolon. So this now reads, if the color of this block matches the color of the player bar, then destroy this block instance, else end the game. Click the tick to save changes and make sure you assign your sprite by clicking inside the box and selecting sprite underscore block. Click OK to save our object. Our block will now select a random color when it's created, move down at a certain speed, and when it collides with the player, will check if the colors match, destroying itself if they do, but ending the game if not. To test that the blocks work, open up your room game. Head to the Objects tab and select your object block. Place a few of these in the room with some spacing in between them so you can easily change colour. Then click the tick to save your changes and try testing your game. You should find that the blocks are different colours and you can change your bar to match and survive, or change to the wrong colour and the game should end. Well, we have our game working with a win and lose condition, but we can't manually place every block. So in the next video we're going to work on randomly spawning these blocks in with another object so our player can keep on playing.